Hey, Andy here. Got a question the other day in one of my videos about what other applications and operating systems have I tested the array against. It got me thinking. I've never done Proxmox. So, been trying to make this video a few times, and Proxmox was not easy. It was not straightforward, especially for iscsi. So here's my guide that I kind of put together in the last couple of days on how to get Proxmox to talk to the flash array and use iscsi for spinning up VMs. Okay, we're going to start off with some of the work being done on the array, and then we'll get to Proxmox itself. So right now I have a brand new install of Proxmox. One thing I do need to do is I need to get some information from Proxmox to put in the array. So we've got a shell, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cat etc learn to spell iscsi initiator. I need this initiator name, so let me go ahead and copy that. Because when we go to the array, let me go back to my dashboard. I've got a FlashArray X20R2. You can hear it in the background. When I go to hosts and volume, so I already have a volume that's 2 terabytes. I've got a host set up, Proxmox, but the one thing that I was struggling with the first time was adding the host port. I'm used to the CSI and Harvester just automatically creating it, so it was something new for me. So what you have to do in here is I have to go ahead and configure the IQN and paste in that initiator name. This is kind of like a handshake, an SSH key. It's not a key, but it's basically telling the array, hi, this, from Proxmox, like, this is who I am, and the array goes, great, I know who you are. These are the volumes you have connected. Awesome, rock and roll. Cool. We can go back to the shell, which we're going to use for most of this. Let me kind of reduce some of these things. Cool. One of the things that I do recommend is going to the helper scripts and do a post install. And this will actually run an update and reboot. This is kind of important, I've found. So let's start the post install. Yes. Just hit OK. What do I want? PV Enterprise. I'm going to keep it as is. Whoop. I'm going to disable Ceph because we're not using Ceph. Add the no subscription. Advanced user access to new features and updates. No. Disable the nag message. Yes, please disable that. Yes, support your software. Disable high availability. Yes, I've got one node. And disable CoroSync. Yes, I'm not using CoroSync. Update now. Yeah, sure. I like updates. I've got a 1 gig line, so this should take a minute for it to come up. And by the way, this really is like the first time I've ever used Proxmox, so a lot of this has just been watching YouTube videos, watching other guides, and I have them linked here at the top of the guide. Yeah, so help based on this YouTube video with help from an article was how I was able to really kind of distill out some of the information. Cool. Let me bring up a terminal because I can do some of these things in parallel. Terminal. And yeah, I got it on 220. I've got my favorite password. The reason why I'm kind of do it in parallel is we do have to install some tools. And this script is running app update. App update failed. That's not good. App update unauthorized. Okay. We might need to rerun the script. Can I break out of it? No, I can't break out of it. Why can't I break out of it? That's good. Let me do... Ooh, another shell. That doesn't help me. PS-CF grep apt. Oh, there we go. Okay. Cancel. Close. Yes, leave that. Get back in here and hit OK. Reboot. Yeah, we can reboot it. Because apparently there's important things. So while this is rebooting, and what I've found is this actually reboots pretty quickly. Good on Proxmox for being able to do that. There it goes down. I did, for one of my videos, I did have the whole video set up where you could see the terminal output. I even did an install. Didn't find it that important. I apologize for that. 'Tis the season. I'll give this a sec. A couple things to highlight. Cool, it's already coming back up. I'm impressed with how fast Proxmox reboots. Cool, we're back in. Let's install a few more packages. So the multipath tools as well as the iscsi was an interesting one. So we can kind of validate the paths, make sure that's there. We need to update the iscsi conf. So this is a sed statement I wrote to kind of make the modification, really kind of streamline. And all we're doing is just changing the node startup to automatic and the timeout from 120 seconds to 15 seconds. And we're going to restart the iscsi service. Done. And if we want, we can do a status, just validate that that's working. Learn to spell. Cool. Everything's up and running and active. I like that. Now what we can do is we can actually go ahead and start adding the iscsi device as well as the iscsi device, and then we're going to do an LVM, and then we're going to do we're going to create VMs on top of it. Sorry, I'm just brain fart there. Okay, so we can do this one of two ways. We can do this in the command line, or we can do this in the GUI. I'm going to do it the command line because it allowed me to kind of streamline some of the steps and really kind of, I was getting an error in the GUI until I figured out a few things. But the one thing I want to kind of point out is that the flash array, and I can show you how to get this. I thought I had it in here to show you how to get this, but what you can basically do is, I believe it's iscsi ADM. 1.6. There was a way, let me think about it real quick. There's a way you can actually go and say, discover. Hold on, let me Google that real quick. Log out, discovery, there we go. Send targets portal, perfect. And I'll update the gist. 168.1.6, that's the port of my array, and there's the two. So notice this IQN number, that's what we need. And in fact, while we're doing it, let me just edit the gist, because you know we're cooking with gas here. Restart, get target from array, perfect. Update, cool. So we did that, we got the target, now we know how we can create the target, and just to validate 36FC, my array did not change iscsi, and now we can add in the target. Okay, successful, that's what we like to see. We can validate this, we can do a PVE SM scan, I don't know what PVE SM is. So this shows that we do have multipath, right? We have IP.7 and .6. Now we can do the iscsi scan, and we can see that we've got our we're rescanning our two sessions. Next, we need to get the WWID, the worldwide ID, and that is the last right here. And the reason why we need this is because we need to add it to multipath. So now we can do multipath-A, paste it in, and it's added. What we also need to do is update the multipath conf. So we can run that, and that'll update the conf. We can restart the multipath service. It's pretty, I mean, once you figured it out, it's easy, right? Now we can validate the multipath service. And notice now we can actually see the chain. Okay, this is a good thing. Then we can finally add our LVM. So we're running LVM on top of the iscsi block device, which is presented by the array. And that's what we're doing here. And the way we get the SCSI target is, how did we get the SCSI target? I'm going to have to figure that one out real quick. Trying to figure out what the command was I ran. Well, let's go to the docs. This actually is where I found some of the information I was missing. Add the volume. Configure multipath. Was it this doc that had it? The other thing we can do on the LVM, we can actually skip. Another way to do this, I'll just show you how to do it in the GUI because it's not going to make a difference. We can go to Data Center, Storage, Add LVM, and we can call this Pure LVM. Existing groups, we can go to iscsi, we can pick our LUN, volume group, what did I call it? Pure VG, yeah, Pure VG1, Pure VG1, and then hit shared, and then we hit add, and that added it. And so now we've got that pure LVM that can do disks and containers. Okay. I'm going to update this gist if you want to go the command line route to show you where that information comes from. Hey, future Andy here. I found the piece I was missing. I'm just going to go ahead and insert it in right now into the video. And what we were missing was the PVESM list, and then you give it the ID you created for the iscsi device. So notice we created an iscsi device, Pure X20. Then we can do the PVESM list and that gives us that vol ID, that volume ID, and that's what we use as the base here. So notice that's the same, right? One FCC7, one FCC7. Back to old Andy, and he now knows better. I apologize. Oh, one caveat. When you update the multipath.conf, you have to put in the WWID that we got with the multipath.a. This just makes it, puts it in that conf. Okay? Now that we've got everything up and running, we can start spinning VMs. And this is where that helper script came in. What we can do is, I'm just going to do it from the command line, because why not? You can do it from the shell, but we're basically going to go ahead and do this. Create a new VM, yes. Suggest use Proxmox shell. Would you like to proceed? Yeah, we're good. Use the default settings, yes. And this will ask you, so this is cool, it'll ask you which storage pool to use. And I want to use the Pure VM. And we'll hit OK. And while that's loading, we can actually go look at the volumes. And actually, let's do this. Let's go to Performance, Volumes, Proxmox. And now we can start to see that you can see it's writing, pulling down. And we can see the performance against the array, which is cool. It's the smallest interval. And it's creating the VM. We can go back to Proxmox. We can see Ubuntu up here. And actually click on it. Buy us a coffee, that's good. See the agent's running, two core, it looks like. 2 core, 2 gigs of RAM. There's our storage. We can bring up the console, and there we go. Okay, so it did take a few steps, but let's just kind of back up and let's think about what we did. We created the host. It was already created on the array. We created a volume, attached it within the host itself. We added the nodes, IQID, IQN. That basically just tells the array what the host is. On the host, we went and ran the install script, which did an update. We added the multipath tools and LSSCI. We updated the conf. We restarted the iscsi service. We then did some discovery to get like the target name for the array. We created our iscsi device. We then just validated everything was working. We added it to multipath, so that was important. Once we had it in multipath, we then went and created the LVM and built a VM. Okay, like I said, I will figure out how I got this in a minute, off camera. But hopefully this helps in terms of being able to deploy Proxmox, talking to a flash array. Relatively easy once I got some of these steps figured out and what number had to go where. Personally, I still am going to stick with Harvester just because of the Kubernetes hook for my home lab, but that's just me. I hope you found this useful, interesting. But yes, Pure Storage FlashArray absolutely will work with Proxmox in a shared model with multi-nodes. Cool. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.